For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. On infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections.
If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who want it until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious.
Violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs, hurting businesses, and burning down buildings. They are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening.
Well, I got to fix that still, too. Greetings, fellow thought criminals. Thank you for joining the insurrection. I'm Michael Lauer, and today I'm joined by Paul Harrell from the Paul Harrell program, which you can catch every day right here on X American News at 3 p.m. instead of 4 p.m. Eastern. How you doing this morning, Paul?
Man, I'm doing fantastic, Mike. It's a good day to be alive. God is good all the time. And, we go forth and try to subdue the earth.
Yes, we do. Another day above ground to save America and save the world. But yeah, I think America took a big loss yesterday. Thomas Massie loses Kentucky primary, GOP primary to Trump-endorsed candidate Ed Gallerin. And, what you and I were just talking about off air is the incredible amount of money that was spent on this race. $35 million. Most of this came in from super PACs. Now, the final numbers, I'm sure, will be adjusted now that the primary is over. But as of the last financial reporting, only $32,000 actually went to Gallerin from residents of Kentucky. All the rest of the money came in from outside. And as a lot of people are saying this morning, a huge amount came in from the Israel lobby. And we really do need to do something about AIPAC and these other organizations. Like, why is it that this is the one country that's allowed to meddle in our elections? Nobody cares. Nobody does anything. The Democrats flipped out over $100,000 in Facebook ad spending from Russia. But you have millions of dollars going in to influence elections here in the United States. From this foreign lobby and various U.S. surrogates here, but it's incredible. Actually, I'm going to bring up another one too that doesn't have as much foreign. Well, I guess still 60 million from outside PACs, but the Cornyn and Paxton race in Texas right now. They're at 110 million in spending in that race right now. And sorry, I'm reading this off my phone right now because I just pulled it up. The Congressional Campaign Fund has already put, the Senate Campaign Fund has already put 23 million into his race. They're expected to spend 100 million in this Texas primary to try to keep this rhino in the seat. So 60 million has come from other PACs, so he's not raised a whole lot himself. So far, they spent 87 million on advertising and are expected to spend 110 million total on Cornyn before this cycle. And last night, I happened to be watching something that Scott Pressler was on, and he made a really good point. He was talking about this race and Massey's race and the amount of money that's coming in from these PACs and how this could be better put to use instead of trying to put in these rhinos over constitutional conservatives. Why are we not putting this into, like he talked about, like voter drive efforts, that the total that was spent between the two races that would be more than enough to launch GOP real on the ground voter registration efforts, kind of similar to what he put together in Pennsylvania and other places. I know there's some people that pick that apart and say he takes credit for things he didn't do. But you got to admit, he does sign up a lot of voters in a lot of places. His strategy does work, showing up at gas stations, doing this stuff. The boots on the ground approach registers a lot of voters. But I think Pressler made a really good point on this because, okay, so let's just say we call this 150 million total since it's 145 right now. That would be $3 million per state to go out and register voters. Then you subtract the states that we don't really need to do that in. The ones that are already solid red, we're not going to lose races. And you could get it up to about $5 million per swing state and blue state to register new voters. And that impact alone would probably help us flip 5 to 10 additional seats. And I totally agree with him right there. If instead of spending this on infighting or to preserve rhinos, we were actually spending that to get ahead, we would have real results. But instead, we have the Senate campaign fund, the congressional campaign fund, a lot of these PACs out there supporting losers that vote against what we voted for in the last presidential cycle. Another point I saw getting made yesterday is Trump's endorsed Mike Lawler up in New York. I guess he's going to some event for him to raise money. And this guy is an open borders. He's a co-sponsor for the Dignidad Act. But for some reason, we're continuing to support him instead of finding a primary challenger that will actually execute the will of the people. And I just don't get it.
Man, it's it is a frustrating day. There's no question about it. There's so much to unpack, right? You've got Trump, who personally, is offended by Massey being a congressman. There's no doubt about that, right?
Yeah.
Trump personally targets Massey because he takes personal offense to Massey's stances, right? Now in order to do this, you have to put the APAC thing aside. But I will just say, I mean, you do have to notice it, right? Like,
Yeah.
Massey goes on Tucker. Massey says that every congressman has an APAC person. Massey says he refused to write, a paper for them, and then he voted against funding the wars, funding the Middle East war for Israel. So, APAC pours in. You had this Haaretz, this Israeli news outlet, Haaretz, yesterday with the headline, this Kentucky congressional seat is the most important thing for Israel. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, this isn't a conspiracy theory, right? This is well, they'll say, APAC will say, an American organization that is for Israel,
Yeah.
standing up for, their what they would say is, their existence or their interests. Let's just say, yeah, their interests, right? This is
Yes.
the thing. If the Council on Islamic, Relations, or if CARE was doing this, there would be a lot more outrage. There's no doubt. Like you said earlier, Russia buying the Facebook ads, there'd be more. But this is no longer. I mean, we can put to bed that this is some sort of conspiracy theory, right? I mean, we just literally lived this. We saw this. So, but if you put that aside, you also have Trump, who obviously personally doesn't like Massey because of his vote against the big beautiful bill.
Mm.
Personally doesn't like Massey because, you have Massey voted for Biden's budget, doesn't vote for the big beautiful bill, and all of the things that were in it because of a principled stance on spending or the debt or something, right?
Yes.
And I get it. And I talked about how people just don't care about that. A couple of days ago, we talked about that on my show, how nobody really cares about the debt anymore. I actually feel totally different about it because I just think the debt is now just some massive the country's essentially being blackmailed by the debt.
Yes.
When I started in 2009 in radio, I was all about the debt. We were $12 trillion in debt. I was sounding the alarm along with the rest of the Tea Party and everybody else. And then, of course, they don't do anything about it. Now we're $40 trillion in debt. And aside from the middle class suffering, nothing bad has happened to those in power. Nothing bad
Yeah.
has happened to that class of people. And so clearly we are operating without all of the information. And so functionally, practically, the debt doesn't matter until somebody, not us, decides that it matters. And I don't even know how you grow your way out of it, quite honestly. So, but Trump specifically doesn't like Massey, and now Massey's gone. I mean, you can't deny that this shows that, hey, look, if you want to get something done, Trump, you got to go through Trump to do it, one way or the
Yeah.
other. Now, at the same time, I said this yesterday too. I have family in Texas, and I'm pretty sure I can say that my family in Texas was for Massey, because the thing about Massey is, Massey, you know, you can say yes, he voted against the big beautiful bill. I know Elon Musk didn't like the big beautiful bill. The
Yeah.
party in general said this is what we're doing though, and you better get on board. Um, but Massey also was he was an effective voice against groupthink. You could even call him kind of a hammer against groupthink, which
Yeah.
I think is healthy in any coalition. And the Republican Party is a coalition, which is why we have primaries. But my same family in Texas, Mike, who was like, you know, probably put, you know, would have rather Massey won,
Hmm.
is ecstatic, absolutely ecstatic this morning that Donald Trump endorsed Ken Paxton,
Yes.
and over John Cornyn, because they don't want John Cornyn to represent them. And then, of course, we're happy that Bill Cassidy has lost in Louisiana.
Mhm.
And so I don't. Politics is messy, and this is certainly one of those instances where, you know, this is why you have primaries. But it does. But in terms of the Massey race, it is obvious, right? It shows you that congressional districts, can be bought. You know, with
Yeah.
enough money, with enough outside money, you can control the narrative. And then, of course, you look at the demographic breakdown, and you look at how Massey did very well with everybody that was younger, but it was the boomers, it was the older generation that gave Galvin the win. So
Yeah.
you also could look at attrition here. You know, a lot of the American politics, assuming we still keep our right to vote and can secure our elections in the future, American politics is about to change in a big way. So
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing you and I were discussing off air just before we started was, I haven't talked to not one Ed Gallerin supporter I have talked to has been able to give me one policy position that he has. This guy ran on nothing. He ran on I was a Navy SEAL and I'm Trump endorsed. Nobody. When I would bring up to him things like, "Did you know he wants to reinstitute the draft?" It's one of the few policy positions I could find on him. They were all shocked. They'd never heard that before. They didn't know anything about this guy. They don't know what he's going to vote for. Most of them don't know he was a never Trumper until, a few weeks ago. And when I send them, articles or links on that or things that he said prior, they just don't know how to respond. Because they're just, basically, they're just following the crowd. They're doing whatever they're told to do. They don't have independent thought. And these kind of people are dangerous. If you're just a victim of that group thing. I mean, what I've always liked about Massey, and yes, some of the votes and positions he's taken are sometimes inconvenient, but he's right. He's a constitutionalist. If we were actually operating under the Constitution, most of our problems would go away. The problem isn't him; it's the other 534 members of Congress right now that forget about the Constitution and don't vote accordingly, even when something, or especially when something is, more convenient to vote the other way, to give themselves more power, or to allow the federal government to continue to do things that are unconstitutional. If we actually took a stand against this, or we cut back on the foreign spending, which is the other thing that upset Trump with him is he didn't want to spend money, keep giving money to other countries, stood against that multiple times. And then there's the other big thing, the Epstein files, and that he's gone after him, he's gone after Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's what drove her out of Congress. Now he's threatening Lauren Boebert, but anybody that's actually pressured them to again keep their word, do what they said, be in compliance with the law, because let's not forget. I always forget the name of the bill, but the Epstein disclosure bill, Trump signed this into law. This isn't like it was forced on him. They didn't override a veto or anything else like that. And they're still out of compliance since December now. So we're now 6 months out of compliance roughly. Actually, within a few days, I believe it will be. What's the date today? Oh yeah, we're already 6 months out of compliance with that. They still have 3.2 million documents to release. Not one person's been arrested. That's going to continue. They're not going to change there.
forgive me for not mentioning the Epstein files. I should have done that. That's another component to this that
Yes.
you will. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. The perception is what wins here. You will never convince these young people
Yeah.
that it wasn't to protect the Epstein class, that him being targeted. There's a whole contingent of young people that know that we have that our government, that world governments are being run by some of the most twisted, evil, and sick people that
Yeah.
prey on children and underage girls, and have participated in this idea where we just have blackmail on each other, and we like it because if we blackmail each other, then we're both safe. Like,
Yeah.
that's the currency, and the young people know this. People who are not boomers essentially know this,
Yeah.
and we want it to stop. And so that is a component here that is you can't avoid it. You cannot avoid how the Trump administration totally botched the Epstein files.
Oh, yeah.
And we're left to speculate the exact reason why, but generally we can say somebody said, well, there's just too many powerful people that'll go down for this, and we just can't have that. And that's the perception.
Yes.
And you talk about, well, there's no arrest. Well, there's not going to be any arrests. Todd Blanche has made that clear. The investigation is over. There's nothing to see here. Move on. And I expect the Democrats to use this heavily in the midterms. And when it comes to the Epstein files, the Trump administration has made their own bed, and we'll have to wait in November to see exactly what happens. The redistricting certainly helps. The Southern
Yes.
scramble certainly helps Republicans' odds. And maybe that's why Trump has seemed unconcerned about the midterms, because he knew about the Supreme Court decision. I'm not
Could be.
exactly sure, but we'll see, because obviously we can't care more than Trump, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's President Trump that's going to be impeached. Right.
Yes.
And what we do care. It seems like we do care more, because I don't want to live under Democrat rule. I know what
Yes.
they're going to do to us in the future, and it's going to be incredibly anti-Christian and persecutorial. Like, that is
Yes.
what's coming. Full-blown mask-off communism, where if you believe in a higher power than the state, you are now a target. That's what's
Yeah.
coming for all of us if we don't hold these criminals accountable.
Yeah.
So
Not to mention real retaliatory prosecutions, not the, weaponized government the media is talking about right now. They'll be going after people like you and me, and a lot of people that are watching this show, anybody that posts publicly. They are going to turn their guns on you. Make no mistake about it. My other concern is, like, even if we hold the House in a slim margin, we're basically going to get that anyway, because there are enough rhino-y Republicans up there that they will side with the Democrats. We see them go over to the other side all the time, but that's not who Trump targets primarily. Instead it's Massey. But we're only going to see more of that, because I've seen a few different congressional maps. Some people think we're going to pick up, we're going to expand the majority, we're going to pick up 30 seats. I can tell you now that's not going to happen. I think the most likely thing is either we hold on to the House with a slim majority, or we lose it with a slim minority. But again, the Democrats take control. They'll actually utilize the power they have. There'll be nonstop hearings. We'll probably have, Trump will remain the reigning impeachment champion. He'll probably get 3 or 4 new impeachments without conviction. Set the bar high enough that we don't have a new record holder for a long, long time, if ever. But make no mistake, again, their goal is to destroy the country. To get back to, like, protecting the Epstein class, this is something that needs to happen, or something that needs to end. Sorry, that we need real prosecutions here, and that's another point that Massey's made. Massey reveals why Epstein co-conspirators enjoy diplomatic immunity in America. We've already kind of gone through this. Let me go ahead and bring up our next one, because there's a great letter out there. General Flynn put this out last week, but you guys should pick it up, read it. General Flynn drops fiery statement about the Epstein files. And, I've tried to make this point a bunch of times too, that a lot of this overlaps, that a lot of the same people involved with this super government that Epstein was a part of and his network was a part of, blackmailing, influencing politicians. A lot of people don't know this. He was literally putting a lot of people on the board at AIPAC. That's a whole nother story. But if you want to read through the emails, you can find it out for yourself. I'm not making this up. And again, in regular communication with them there. But this is something that has to end. The overlap between the deep state and the Epstein super government, for lack of a better term, There's a lot of the same people there. So we don't solve the problem. Like, and again, this is ongoing. This is something that existed in the 80s, probably before that. I mean, I'm sure you guys are already probably familiar with Boys Town, Nebraska, the scandal there, and a lot of the people that, like Maxwell's father and others that were tied to that and then tied to Epstein. It's all part of the same operation. It's gone on for much longer than most people want to admit. And it's not going to go away if we don't do something to stop it. So we've got to stop protecting these pedophiles, because make no mistake, that is what's going on when we don't prosecute them. And again, I know that annoys a lot of people to phrase it that way. Oh, that's what Democrats are saying. That's a Democrat talking point. Well, sorry, they're right. And I don't know how else you spin it. If the situation were reversed, and this was Kamala Harris in office and she was refusing to prosecute anybody, every one of you would be running to the mic saying that she protects pedophiles. So that is exactly what's happening right now. It doesn't matter who's in charge. The evidence is right in front of you.
Yeah, and this now we come to the, well, what's going on with the DOJ?
Yeah.
Do you trust Todd Blanche? No. Yeah,
No.
I know you don't trust him. Was I happy with the Southern Poverty Law Center case? Absolutely. Do I think James Comey should have been indicted for 8647? Absolutely, because he's essentially a retired general with troops still in the government that are loyal to him. He's admitting now that he talks to them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I'm happy with all that, but we've just got so much more work to do. And also, we've got to get actual convictions on this. I can't remember the last time I heard anything about that Florida grand jury. We were talking off air that we've now been, what you said, 9 times we've been
9
told
different times.
James Clapper or John Brennan or one of them is going to be indicted. And it's like,
Yep.
crickets. So,
dude, it's 9 times just on Brennan.
Just on Brennan. Wow.
Yeah, 9 different times since July. Now, there may have been one before July, but I've been tracking it since then, so I can't quite remember when the first one was for Brennan specifically. But yeah, 9 times they've teased out there this grand jury, or they're about to indict him, or they're about to arrest him. Just like, remember, we've heard about Barack Obama's grand jury 3 or 4 times. I haven't seen anything else about that or an indictment. Now, like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It was a big deal with Fauci, a week or so ago, because the statute of limitations ran out. The DOJ stopped pursuing the AutoPen case. So even if they had something, they can't prosecute him. Then we have this whistleblower come forward and basically admit that there, again, was an illicit relationship going on between the CIA and Fauci's office, hiding the COVID origin, hiding other information, and manipulating the media, and manipulating the narrative. But we're not prosecuting anybody. It doesn't matter if you have all these evidence and all these hearings, if you're not going to do anything about it. It's like, oh, shucks, guys, they got away with it again, and this is what happened. Everybody knows what happened with most of these people. Now, I'm sure there's details that we suspect that we don't have confirmation of, things like that, that's what you need the DOJ for, to go in and dig in and confirm a lot of these ties, the emails, verify things, see who said what, where they overstepped bounds. And again, like I've said before, if there was one person that we all suspected of being involved in this and they just couldn't find any crimes they committed, I'm perfectly happy to accept that. Like, hey, this person's an unethical dirtbag, but we can't find any actual laws they violated. Okay, fine. But vast majority of these people, like, it's blatant and obvious what's happening. It's self-evident. But if there's no consequences, then what's the point? We're also leaving this super government in force and in power within our intel agencies and embedded at the DOJ. So once Trump's out the door, they're going to go right back to business as usual. Not that they're not already doing it now. I mean, we just discussed numerous cases the DOJ is still prosecuting of people that were targeted under Biden, and they won't drop the charges, like Michael Castellero, Keone Rodriguez. He's in jail right now because of this stuff. And they're not even all political. Some of these are just about accumulating power in government, but they are bad prosecutions. And for some reason, our DOJ is still moving forward with it. The Castellero one is really pathetic. Like we've had him on here a couple times. He's actually getting sentenced today. I think it just happened like an hour and 25 minutes ago, was his court appearance. But this, he opened a financial advisory type company, investment firm, under rule changes that happened in Trump's first administration to allow regular individuals access to IPOs instead of having to go through hedge funds and, the big financial brokers that dominate the sphere. And essentially, this was costing a lot of these brokerages, millions, if not billions of dollars, because regular investors suddenly had access to these type of IPOs. That's the real reason he was targeted. They're prosecuting him under a law that doesn't even apply to the type of business that he was. Their witness fell apart. Well, they have no witness. They don't know who was on the supposed phone call because the person they're claiming it was says it isn't him. The numbers don't match up. I mean, it's just a garbage case all around. I'm actually going to try to get him on again next week so we can go through this because I don't expect that they're going to send him straight to jail today. They're probably going to give him a month or so to get his affairs in order. But why is our DOJ continuing to prosecute? Again, like, if it's a regular criminal case and it goes from one administration to the other, bank robbers or whatever, then obviously you still need to prosecute these people. But a lot of these that are clearly politically motivated, I don't understand why a year and a half in, we're still moving forward with the prosecutions. 3 months in, I can understand. Maybe you just didn't get to it yet. You haven't pulled the attorneys off that case and redirected them, dropped the charges or whatever. But we're over a year in. And it's not like it's just one or two of these people. It's dozens of them.
Yeah, I really, the one thing I can say about all of this, because I was not aware of that case that you just mentioned, but the longer the Intel oligarchs stay, uh, free, the longer they're free, we're not.
Yeah.
I think what's really fundamentally the issue here is, like, are the American people actually slaves? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's the issue, right? We're voting in these elections, and many of these elections are rigged, right? We still have a lot of problems, mail-in
Yeah.
ballots, the machines, all of this stuff. So even when we somehow can get one of our guys in there, we still not getting we're still not getting the accountability that we
Yeah.
require for us to verify that we actually control our government. Even a little bit, right? Like, even a little bit. Like, we're not going to get them all.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get them all, but there are some big names out there that have participated. I mean, lying to the FISA court. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
right? And then you got
Numerous.
then you look at the situation. Back to the whole endorsement thing. Super excited. Donald Trump's endorsed Ken Paxton. John Cornyn needs to go.
Yeah.
But you've got this primary over in South Carolina, and President Trump's endorsed Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
And yet, we're praying that Mark Lynch can pull it out over there.
Yes.
And because, I mean, he's a viable candidate, giving himself $5 million and everything else. But it's just such a mixed bag.
Yeah.
And it's just incredibly frustrating how capricious it all feels. It all feels so. It honestly just feels like, well, did Todd Blanche have a donut this morning? Did President Trump have a donut this morning? Well, he didn't. So he's not in as good of a mood as he would have been. So now we're going to make this, we're going to
Yeah.
make a decision we otherwise wouldn't have. That's how it feels. I don't really think that's how it is, but that's certainly how it feels.
It seems that way sometimes. Yeah. Well, and here's another good question for you. Now, how much money is the Senate campaign fund going to dump into the race in South Carolina to save Lady Gramnesty's seat from Mark Lynch? I think they already injected a number of rhinos in that race to try to split the vote. Now, some of them have already dropped out. Luckily, what was his name? Dance dropped out. He's endorsed.
Dance.
Yeah, and he's endorsed Mark Lynch, which is good. But if he's got a $5 million war chest and Lady Gramnesty has access to the Senate campaign fund, they've already shown they're willing to put $100 million into this race in Texas. How much will they put there? And how many seats could we have picked up if we only spent that money a little more wisely instead of protecting rhinos like Lady Gramnesty?
Yeah, you're exactly right. And it's it's an exercise. It kind of brings me back to the SAVE Act. Why do we have such a, the power of incumbency? One of the reasons why the power of incumbency is so great, I think, going back to the blackmail idea,
Yeah.
is because you're creating more work for yourself. I mean, if you let the voters just decide without putting your thumb on the scale, and you just
Yeah.
go by Lindsey Graham's record, it would be no contest. But then all of a sudden you've got a Senate candidate, our new senator that you don't necessarily have blackmail on. I think there's nobody in this country that would assume that there's not blackmail out there on Lindsey Graham.
Absolutely.
And so this is it. I mean, this is how you're controlled. And so they're going to put everything they can. They're going to make sure their investment is safe, and they're willing to spend $100 million to make sure that they have a controlled delegate from South Carolina.
Yes. Yeah, there's probably some lady boys out there that would like to talk to you about Lindsey Graham.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure they're terrified, scared for their lives, actually.
Probably. And, on one hand, I'm joking. On the other, I'm really not. But this has to end. We can't be one nation under blackmail. This has to stop. We have to actually hold people accountable. And if that means some, air quotes, good people go down for this too, I'm fine with that. I really wonder who it is they're protecting. We know, like, people have run the numbers. Data Republicans gone through and look at that, contacts with Epstein. We know it's about 87.5% Democrats that he were in his sphere. But that means there's a few powerful Republicans or mega donors or whatever. Yeah, that are connected because, well, we know, like Sheldon Adelson, Miriam Adelson's husband, who's since passed away, he was heavily involved in these in these emails going back and forth. So is that the problem? Is that who we're protecting? What other mega donors are in there? And now it doesn't mean that all of them are doing something nefarious. But again, that's why we need real investigations and somebody to actually look into this.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. If we're not third graders, right?
Yeah.
We know just because you meet somebody doesn't mean you're guilty of a crime.
Yes.
If the investigation goes forward, then you can find that out for true. And so if you've got nothing to hide, then why wouldn't why would you care? If you would want the investigation in a way. I mean,
Yes.
probably maybe not. I mean, I guess the human condition would say, no, I don't even want to be associated with it. I guess I understand that, but
Yeah.
but we're not supposed to take that stuff into consideration. If you're if you're a Justice Department official, you're supposed to try to get to the truth so that we can enact justice.
Yes.
And you guys work for the American people. You're supposed to work for the American people. You don't.
Yeah.
Right? You don't. And instead, we just get lied to constantly from our own government. And this younger generation, have you seen these clips, Mike, of the commencement speeches? Eric Schmidt, former CEO of Google, starts to talk about AI at this commencement speech at the University of Arizona, and just talk about AI, and you just got to find the power to say yes to AI and the booze. I mean, these college kids that have graduated, they know this is a threat. Not just it's not just at University of Arizona. There's one down in Orlando, University of Central Florida. The same thing happened there. Then at a Cordova Community College, I think the University of Central Florida one, they used an AI to announce the graduates' names and the AI totally screwed it up. So this lady had to go to the microphone and be like, "I'm sorry, we were using an AI system, and I'm sorry, we'll just get your photos, but we can't do the graduation for everybody." I mean, it just skipped people's names. And the booze, there were people that weren't allowed to walk because AI made a mistake, and so the young people are sick of this. We may differ on the social issues, which are kind of my number one thing personally.
Yeah.
But the next populist thing is jobs. And when AI takes these jobs, I don't know, Naval Harari from the World Economic Forum has said, what are we going to do with all these people? Well, we'll give them video games and drugs when they don't have any jobs. People don't want to live like this. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what the answer is, but universal basic income is coming. And I don't know how you argue against it if there are no jobs. I don't see how you argue against it.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. And it is a giant pitfall and a trap because I don't think that system's going to work out whatsoever, not in the way people think it is. I also don't think you're going to get these AI companies and all their, multi-billion-dollar investors to just say, oh, yeah, we're going to give up 80% of our income, our profit, to go to taxes to pay out to all these people who are not working, not doing anything productive. Why would you? I mean, it'd be the same thing if you or I made a big investment in a company, then the next big car or whatever. And then all of a sudden, after years of waiting, no return on our money, Then all of a sudden it catches catches on fire, and everybody wants one. All of a sudden we're making millions and millions of dollars, and then somebody steps in and says, well, 80% of that actually needs to go back to the people, or whatever number they pick. But the 80% is the one I keep saying, that to actually make it viable, to bring in the amount of cash they would need to pay all this, is you'd have to take about 80% of their actual profit numbers from all these AI companies. Now, again, there's other figures out there, and it's not something I've done a deep dive onto, but we'll just use that number for now. But regardless, like, why would you agree to that if you're one of the investors or owners of these companies? And again, they're going to have a lot of power and money to lobby government. So how are you going to get Elizabeth Warren or whoever? Suddenly she's going to come out against it because it's going to affect her campaign contributions, the money going to her super PACs, all that. That's so you're not going to get it. I mean, or not in the way people think you will. You certainly isn't going to be universal high income like Elon Musk's been saying. But yeah, I've seen some of these videos or some of these memes, which, I mean, some of them are real, and that's the crappy part, is people saying, hey, I just graduated with a degree that is every job in my field right now has been replaced with AI, so I guess I'm going to be a barista at Starbucks, and that's not going to last much longer either. I'm somebody I've said this on here before a few times. I used to think a year ago that a lot of these claims with AI were exaggerated. We wouldn't see it making a major dent in the workforce for another couple of years. I'm not so sure about that now. And as I've talked to more people that are in blue collar positions, they're starting to get concerned too. Like a lot of construction and other jobs like that, they're starting to back off because nobody has any money to spend because everybody's job's been replaced with artificial intelligence that was white collar workers. We're going to talk more about that here in a minute. But then you don't have money to spend on a plumber or a new roof or painting your house or a lot of other blue collar fields. We've seen advancement in robotics. I've mentioned it on here before. I have a former client that while I was still in staffing, they'd bought 20 robots because of high turnover. I heard from somebody I worked with that they put in 80 more. They've now got 80 robots, and those are now, it isn't just 80 more jobs they've lost. It's not 100 total. It's 300. This place ran 24 hours a day. Every one of these robots has replaced 3 people. They cost $30,000 now, which is half what they have to pay somebody per year to do that same job without the overtime. So it's a big, in exchange, they have to hire one robotics engineer that can go in and program all of them and go do maintenance. Apparently these things are pretty reliable once you put them in place, but that's a whole nother story. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things in the future. Younger generations are sick and tired of a lot of what's going on. They do understand this protectionism, protecting the pedophile class. They do understand, they're sick and tired of watching our money go overseas. I keep trying to wake people up to this that are, like around our age, like around 40. And a lot of them just, I don't know why, they don't seem to understand that younger voters are sick and tired of this. That's one of the reasons turnout's been so far down in most primaries across the country. That unless it was like a key battleground or somebody, they really wanted to get across the finish line, that district or that region may have higher turnout. But a lot of these states, I mean, we've lost seats that we never should have lost in Florida. The mayor of Miami, this other seat in Mar-a-Lago, and numerous other ones around the country. And it isn't because the Democrats are doing so well. Their crazies are just coming out like they always do, but it's depressed conservative votes. They're not being stolen like a lot of people are saying. I haven't seen evidence of that anywhere. No claims of that from individuals on the ground. It's just straight up GOP turnouts down, 30% in Illinois. It was over 20% in a couple other states. And people are dismissing that or making excuses. But again, we got to actually deal with the problem.
The demoralization started when Elon Musk was kicked out of DC.
Yes.
I mean, the absolute enthusiasm was off the charts when Elon was doing the interviews and was telling us all what he uncovered and proving that conservatives or those of us on the right were correct for decades about the waste, the fraud, the abuse, illegals voting in our elections, illegals getting IRS refunds, massive ones getting Social Security benefits. We were correct about all of it. And, the USAID getting gutted, these bureaucracies like the World Institute of Peace trying to keep Trump's officials from getting in. We really thought we were about to see, just politically speaking, a bloodbath of these bureaucracies, of these agencies. Oh, and by the way, we thought it was going to lead to the arrests of people, but then he got ran out of town. He got
Yeah.
ran out of town because there were too many politicians who were guilty of benefiting from all of this fraud.
Yep.
And at least that's my belief. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
that was so demoralizing. And and the press was trying to be like, Saul has slain his thousands, but David is 10,000s. They were trying to, make Trump jealous, right? And then you had Musk and Bessent. They didn't like each other. The Secretary of Treasury didn't like each other. Elon Musk spent a lot of money getting Donald Trump elected, and
Yes.
it bought him 5 months. 5 months. And then they didn't do anything with the cuts. They didn't
Well,
actually slash the spending,
yep.
in part because of the rhinos in the Senate. But I that's when all of this started. So
Yeah. Well, and again, this kills me. Just like with the Save Act, what Musk was doing was universally popular. It had majority support even beyond just Republicans. There were a lot of Democrats that liked this effort of cleaning up all the waste, fraud, and abuse. Sending money to Uganda for sex changes, drag shows in Lesotho, countries you never heard of, spending in Pango, whatever. That it was all just nonsense. But yeah, to your point, it stepped on too many toes. I mean, they have family members on boards of a lot of these NGOs that receive government funding. And all of a sudden, they're crying about it. And again, it's just a giant money laundering scheme, just like the what we're seeing with all the COVID funding, the Medicaid, the Leering centers, the homeless industrial complex, and there's very little being done about it. No politicians have been indicted or arrested for that either. I'm glad you can get some of the Nigerian pirates and other fraudsters that are out there, but hey, I want actual results. I want the people that were covering this up, and we know there are 550 plus whistleblowers just in Minnesota, many of which were retaliated against, and they were pointing to the inside, to the people that were allowing this to happen. Not one arrest yet.
What you just said really kind of, I think, encompasses the bipartisan, and I don't even like that word, but like
Yeah,
arresting politicians. Like
yeah,
that is we think they are majority criminals, and we know they're dirty, and
yeah,
we want them arrested. I mean, like that is that's what people want.
yes,
And yet, so I don't know. I know it's that to me it's just as simple as that. It's as simple as that. People want that, but you have to have people willing to investigate and actually find a
execute.
crime.
Yeah.
Find a crime. Um, but I don't think you just don't have the will to do that. There's just not the will to do that in Washington D.C.
Well, yeah, I mean, look what they did to protect Stacy Pliskin or whatever. I always mispronounce her last name. Whatever her name is, the non-voting Democrat rep that was talking to Epstein, texting him. They were going to censure her, but instead they were like, well, Corey Mills, he's under investigation for stuff right now. He's corrupt. Well, okay, well, we just won't move forward with either of these or censor either of them. Handshake deal. We just protect our own, protect the political class, instead of just doing the right thing and booting them both out of there. To go back to something you were talking about earlier, the SAVE Act, and how, we can't get that through for some just unexplainable reason that that doesn't really make sense. There was new polling on this that came out that 87% of people they sampled, you've probably seen other people talking about this because it was pretty large sample size. It was like 5,000 people in this poll. So means it had majority support in both parties, whether people identified as Republicans or Democrats. There was a majority of support for it. For Republicans, it was like 95 or 97%, which again, it really makes me wonder. The other 3%, did they just have brain damage? But even with Democrats, it was 70-something% said yes, you should have to have an ID, and that citizenship verification was okay for voters. So if even they're on the ground average voter, not the blue-haired moonbat wine moms, are in favor of this, then maybe we should push this through. Maybe some of you on the left, or Fetterman or others, should get behind it. Maybe we should just get rid of the filibuster and stop letting them hold everything hostage. But no, these people serve the deep state. They don't serve the American people, and that's the underlying problem. I want to go ahead and pull up our next story, though, because otherwise we go on this forever. Because we did have some good stuff happen yesterday, too. Dirty Brad Raffensperger loses gubernatorial primary in Peachtree State. shellacking. That's a good way to put it. We also got rid of another rhino that was running as to replace him, and that's Gabriel Sterling. This guy's been another undocumented Democrat, basically.
Butterball.
Exactly. Butterball Gabe Sterling eliminated in Georgia Secretary of State race after trashing Trump for years. The fake conservative suffers very public shellacking. I'll go with. I don't know what a drubbing is. But yeah, we did remove some rhinos, some real problems. I mean, we covered this yesterday. Like, unbelievably, Georgia was trying to hide the election count again in their bunker, and I actually think I was reading about it this morning. That they may have actually been successful in keeping people out, because I guess the Supreme Court ruled in the morning, and then somebody else filed another injunction to stop them allowing observers. But I couldn't find any. I didn't find any follow up on whether they went there or not. But it looks like it was just.
The last I heard was that a court said you got to let the election board into the secret bunker. But I didn't hear there was another one saying no, you can't do it. What? It's just so crazy. The gall of these people. Raffensperger is, nobody thinks of him on the right, and it's like, oh yeah, Georgia has election integrity. No, we think that you are in on it, or at the very least, just turned a blind eye to accountability. Nobody believes Joe Biden won Georgia in 2020. Okay, literally nobody on the right. Well, maybe some, but very few people actually believe that happened. Right? That was during COVID, when we would believe just about anything. There was a giant spell that was cast over this country. So maybe some of us like, well, maybe at the time, but now, no, we don't believe that. And so you're telling me that the guy who is suspected of being complicit in voter fraud in Georgia, this guy thinks that he can have a secret election bunker?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy to me, the arrogance, the lack of shame, and just the hubris of somebody like Brad Raffensperger being like, oh yeah, we're still going to have it, and we're going to fight people that want to monitor the Secretary of State's election reporting bunker. It's insane to me to think about just it's like it's sociopathic, criminal, mastermind, James Bond villain type attitudes, and I am in awe of it.
Exactly, and I did find the headline in Georgia. So, Georgia judge reverses order allowing bipartisan observation of election center operations. This is on Just the News. But when I read through this morning, I couldn't figure out if this was the final decision or this was the decision that was reversed. But I think, or whether or not they were into the bunker. But Judge Uriel Glanville initially said in his ruling that petitioners demonstrated substantial likelihood of success on the merits of the claims that they'd suffer irreparable injury if relief isn't granted. So that's why he reversed the decision, meaning, like, apparently just having observers in there was enough to cause problems for them. They would be unresolvable afterwards. So to me, that sounds like, well, we wouldn't be able to hide the steal. But considering they all lost their races, I assume the observers must have been in there, or it was just so overwhelming that they couldn't beat the margin of victory was greater than the margin of fraud. I guess that's a good way to put it, to borrow a line from Rush Limbaugh. Yeah. But again, it makes me wonder, like, why are we at this point where this happens? But let's discuss, the consequences of some of these rhinos that did lose their races. Senate advances measure to withdraw U.S. involvement in Iran conflict with vengeful rhino Bill Cassidy casting deciding vote. Again, why does it come to this where we are this far in and we still have these people in power? Why was this guy not removed years ago? And man, I'm telling you, Paul, we have got to, in 2028, our main job should be rhino removal. We need to primary as many GOP rhinos as humanly possible and hope that the Democrats are still just utterly dysfunctional and we get a good candidate on the right for president, because our main focus needs to be eliminating the problems from within our own party.
No, I agree. I mean, Bill Cassidy is certainly one of those. I don't really know anything about, who's the two candidates that are now going to go to the runoff to try to replace him. But we know Bill Cassidy's record. We know him. We know him as also a big pharma stooge.
Yep.
And so that's, it wasn't it Cassidy that, was trying to stop RFK Jr. from getting in. I think it was Cassidy.
Yep, it was.
And so this is a welcome. It's interesting that he does this now that he's a lame duck, he goes and he casts this vote with the Iran situation. Which, by the way, I'm not a fan of the conflict in Iran, but it's like, what are the motivations of this guy? I mean,
Yes.
and you just think, well, no, he's just being petty at this point because if he had won, he'd have voted the other way. This is a guy actually devoid of principles, completely devoid of principles.
Yeah,
So,
it's most of them.
but yeah, Bill Cassidy's got to go. John Cornyn's got to go. Lindsey Graham's got to go.
Yep.
We got a lot of work to do, a lot of praying that we need to do too. Like,
Yeah.
please save the American people, Lord, from these wicked rulers that actually they claim to love us, but they actually hate us.
Yeah, I think we need to send an army of exorcists to DC or something, or this just isn't going to end. We need to get all these demons out of Congress, and all the demons out of the congressmen that are there, and women for that matter. Yeah, let's go to this real quick. I'm going to try to sorry, I'm frozen again. I'll fix that in a second. We'll do a speed run here real quick. Says DOJ is currently looking at Ilhan Omar for immigration fraud. Prodded this one out in front of us a few times now. I keep saying I believe it when I'll believe it when I see it. Put up or shut up. They've been investigating her for marrying her brother, for campaign violations, for this $30 million. It just seemed to materialize out of nowhere, but that was just a paperwork glitch. Put up or shut up. Everybody knows what's going on with this person, with Ilhan Omar. That she married her brother. She'll do whatever it is. She's committed multiple acts of fraud. We just had this big reveal that she's tied to a lot of the Leering centers, another COVID fraud that went on in Minnesota. But, where is your courage to act? Are you this afraid of being called as racist or Islamophobic that you're going to let this criminal, illegal alien stay in our country, somebody that violated our laws, knowingly manipulated the system, and continues to do so? That, she's already said videos in her own speeches, speaking in Somali, saying how she's there to represent the Somali population, not the people of Minnesota, not the people of her congressional district, but Somalia. Let's send her back home. She can make Somalia great again.
I mean, Tim Walz actually, changed the flag. He changed
Yeah.
the Minnesota flag to resemble the Somali flag.
Yes.
This would be a huge win. This is low hanging fruit. Going after Ilhan Omar, it would be amazing to remigrate her back to her homeland.
Yes.
It would absolutely enrage the left and invigorate the right.
Yes.
No question about it. And, she's gone from saying she was worth millions of dollars to now, 100,000 or something. It was just
I can't even remember. Yeah.
I mean, it was a discrepancy. No, the Somali fraud situation, she's tied in that. This is literally, she is there to facilitate rewarding these third world migrants and families that are being paid to stay at home and hang out with their families all day. That she's their guy. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, look at a lot of these lefties. Look at Priya Jayapal the other day talking about she's facilitating oil shipments to Cuba right now. She's working with Russia and other foreign countries, whatever, to help bring relief to Cuba. Well, again, that's illegal. They're an enemy nation. Make no mistake about it. That crossed the line into treason. But at the very least, it is term just disappeared in my brain. But they need sedition. She should, same thing, be denaturalized, deported after spending a long time in jail, or we should just get rid of her straight up and kick her out of here. But where are the calls for enforcement of that? Yeah, I saw some angry articles, some fundraising emails probably went out after she said this last week, but I've seen zero action. Why can't we just get this done? These crimes are obvious in public. You had Hillary Clinton the other day in an interview, and this barely got any attention, saying the Democrat Party should reach out to China and they should become their benefactors because Trump has Russia. Same thing. Especially when you're publicly saying this stuff.
Her say that. She said that.
Yes. Yeah. And got no attention.
I mean, that's so frustrating. Like, we supposedly have all the cards. You have this is the same way I feel about Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton should be in jail.
Yeah.
Hantavirus comes out and they bring out Deborah Birx on MS Now to talk about the dangers of hantavirus. And I'm like, The fact that I don't think they're going to do COVID again, but the fact that this lady
Yep.
still thinks that she can go out and be used as an expert after what they did. And the reason that she can do it is because there's been no accountability. It is
Yes.
still not dinner table conversation. I mean, with a lot of Americans, it is, but there's not enough Americans where it's dinner table conversation to
Dude.
know that Anthony Fauci is a criminal, to know that remdesivir kills people, to know that the shots are not good for you. It's still not dinner table conversation with the amount of people that it needs to be in this country.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's why Deborah Birx can still go on and talk about virus with some sort of authority or credibility. And it makes me furious. And of course, this is one of the things where President Trump, he has refused to acknowledge that Operation Warp Speed was an actual disaster.
Yeah.
So
Well, I kind of go back and forth on this one because I think the results and what happened with the vaccine were a disaster. But
that's
Warp
what I
Speed
mean.
itself, getting a lot of the red tape out of the way, I think he thought he was doing the right thing. But at the same time, you can acknowledge, hey, I made the right moves, helping cut the red tape, allowing them to produce masks in the U.S. I mean, some of the reasons that like we weren't producing some of this equipment here were just borderline retarded. So cutting some of the red tape and all that, like I do think that was a good thing. But the end result, we got to be honest. I just saw this study that came out from Australia where 97% of people under 25 during COVID, and I don't know if that means from the beginning or the end, but regardless of their population right now is seeing just they were 97% vaccinated. Now they're seeing this insane spike in rare cancers, like they've never seen anywhere. Oh, what could possibly be the factor that links this? Like I know somebody down there in Australia where her mother's a school teacher. She's like 50 years old. When this started, she had to get fully vaccinated, and her 7 boosters or 6 boosters, whatever it was. Like she's had cancer 2 different times now, just in the last couple of years. 2 unrelated cancers. She's treated for one, and this one she's got now is unfortunately probably going to kill her. And you can't say for sure it was the vaccine, but it certainly seems suspicious when it happens twice, unrelated cancers, and it doesn't normally run in their family. But what would I know?
It's
But
funny how we can turn on a dime, isn't it? I know I don't mean to take up too much time, but it just
no, you're
dawned
fine.
on me. It dawned on me, Mike. Um, During the 2020 election, the Democrats were saying, "I'm never taking Trump's vaccine. He's an
Yes.
idiot. I'm never taking it." And those same people demanded everybody get it once Joe Biden was elected. We
Yeah.
then run. We then, as conservatives, we run and then we say we're going to hold these people accountable and the Epstein files, and we're run by a bunch of pedophiles. And now many people who said that now think the Epstein files are a hoax. Think
Uh,
think
oh
about
yeah.
how think about how easily we can be
Well,
be manipulated. So
honestly, I think a lot of them know and know better. They just echo the talking point because that's what the TV or their party leaders tell them to say. That I think they know exactly what they're doing. I think a lot of these people are pure evil, and we should be treating them accordingly. But again, our side lacks the spine to call people out or do anything about it. I want to sneak one last story in though, just because we teased this earlier, and that's more AI job losses. Meta axes 8,000 workers as Zuckerberg admits AI is watching and replacing labor. Well, in addition to the 8,000 that were let go this morning, and I wonder if they were directed to an AI therapy or whatever, like what happened at Microsoft. They counselor after firing 20,000 workers at Microsoft. But another 7,000 have been reassigned to train AI. And of course, they're basically already seeing the writing on the wall that they are training their own robotic replacements. And then I wonder how much it's going to expand beyond that. I mean, programmers, especially, this whole learn to code thing, you better learn to mine coal or better learn to do something if you're a programmer, because it seems AI is going to be taking all but the most elite of programmers' jobs coming up. And chances are that is not you.
there's a new market. You talk about what to do. I saw this on TikTok or somewhere where there's a emerging market where people are taking their new cars in to have their modems that are buried deep within. There are these modems in these new
Yes.
cars that connect to the internet and tell Ford or GM or whatever everything about you, everything about it. And there's now a market to go drop your car off. I don't know if it's, maybe one of those stereo places that, used to, they're now getting into the, okay, no, we're going to take your car apart. We're going to remove the modem, but you got to do it in a way where the car still works.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so like there's now becoming markets of people who are wanting to deconnect their cars from the internet because
Yeah, good.
because you're being tracked. And people are saying, no, we don't want this. We do not want this. And so now there's talk, well, if you do that, then Ford or GM is going to void your warranty if they find out that you've removed the internet connecting modem that you don't even know about. So
Well, hey, and then once you've exceeded your mileage on the vehicle and your warranty is void anyway, go get rid of that. Because,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
and this has been going on for a while. Like my SUV has something like that on it where it reports back. And, I don't have like a brand new car or anything. I think it's a 2018. And, yeah, it already had the reporting on it then. I don't drive anything fancy. It's a VW. But it reports in. It lets you know if you're over the mileage for your oil change by a mile. You'll immediately get an email from the car. I mean, it's
Oh,
crazy. Well, and it makes me wonder too, like, for the internet connectivity in all these cars, they have to have SIM card or something in there that's broadcasting out onto the cellular network. So what are they paying for that, and how much of that's in your price? But yeah, I mean, if you can find it yourself, I would just rip the antennas off because
I guarantee you the government's paying for it. If you if
probably
if you really found out about it, I bet you the government is paying for the data fees.
you. And that's one of the other things that Thune offered to get rid of the car surveillance. Um, the House passed it, and then Thune's blocking it. Same with again. Why do we always side with these big corporations? Let them do whatever they want. Monitors. The FISA stuff is another one. All right, well, let's end on something at least a little somewhat humorous here. That's Karen Bass roasted over plan for free dental care for homeless meth addicts. You can't have a house, but we can get you a brand new grill. That is, again, just the pure stupidity that's going on in California. I saw that Spencer Pratt is now polling within 1 point of Karen Bass and the other Nikki Raman, or whatever her name is. She's basically a non-factor in that race now, that he kicked her ass so hard in the last debate that she dropped 40 points, and Karen Bass is now afraid to debate him because, of course, she is. But man, again, like rather than fixing the real problem, which is all these drug addicts flooding the city, she's once again wants to put in a program that will attract more people. So, because hey, you know what? Now if you're homeless or you're on meth or whatever, and you got a toothache, go to California and they'll get you fixed right up.
All my teeth have rotted out because I did too much meth. Oh, don't worry. We'll
Yeah,
fix your teeth. We'll get you right back on that street. Get out there and be somebody.
yeah.
Keep on
Here's your
doing
new
that
crack
meth,
pipe.
son. Yeah, I mean, it's insane, dude. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I mean Pratt's a genius though with a lot of these ads. Like they're so simple. Like and did you see TMZ trying to go after him because I guess he's not living in the trailer in front of his house anymore for the last month since he kind of took off. He had to leave, the shell of his house because he was getting threats from violent leftists. So he's been staying at a hotel. So now they're attacking him, saying the ad was fake. Again, I don't think anybody buys it. But that ad was absolutely brilliant. I think some of the animated ones are, they're kind of funny or whatever. But the other one that's really brilliant is him going to that bridge in LA, and I'm blanking on which bridge it was right now, at night, and you can't see anything because homeless crackheads keep stealing all the power poles, lights, and copper wires that go to the poles. But rather than putting the homeless crackheads in jail, they're putting the light poles in jail. They're going to put cages around the light poles to prevent the crackheads from stealing the copper. I mean, it's just so upside down and backwards. Like, I just don't understand it.
Yeah, that's really good. That's good. But let's hope. I don't know. I don't focus too much on the Mamdani, New York or LA stuff. I mean, I hope for
Yeah.
those people that they do better, but I kind of have a League of Shadows. Actually, my co-host Rob Spencer has more of a League of Shadows. League of
Type
Shadows.
approach.
Like we've nicknamed Rob Spencer Rob Al Ghul League of Shadows Memphis division because when Memphis had their congressional seat taken from them by the Tennessee legislature, he was all about it, and I was like,
Oh, yeah.
oh. I was like, he's basically like, Memphis's time has come.
Exactly. Sometimes you just have to raise the city to save the country. But yeah, you're right. Like, I mean, I'm done. The lying about the budget and all that is not going to save the city. Like, the net effect is going to be the same. I just hope we don't have these, again, weak-kneed, pickle-kissing Republicans bailing out New York, Chicago, LA, or the other places that are basically strapping on their own suicide vests right now, doubling down on retarded, and just destroying their cities. I mean, Chicago, Illinois right now has $450 billion in unfunded pension liabilities. People aren't getting their pensions that retired 2 or 3 years ago. They don't have the money. They've borrowed it out. That's what Mondani's doing in New York now, is borrowing against other things. Your children's debt in the future. LA is essentially destroyed. Something's got to happen. If these people aren't going to save themselves, we can't bail them out. We have to let them just collapse, and that be that. There has to be a price to pay for this. You can't keep counting on reaching to other people's pockets around the country to bail out bad policy. It's got to stop.
I completely agree with you. So, we'll see what happens in Los Angeles. It would be interesting. If it's close, the Democrats will steal it there, though. That's my prediction.
Yeah, and that's probably what's going to happen. Is it'll probably be close. I doubt Pratt gets in. I wish he would. I love this thing though that's been going around on the internet with like Joey. I can't think of his last name now. Sorry guys, I'm having one of those days. But saying, well, since LA doesn't check for IDs for voting, I'm just going to go there. I'm going to tell them my name is Bob, and I'm going to vote for Pratt. I'm going to travel in from around the area or around the country, fly out. And again, since it's illegal to ID somebody, just tell them your name's Bob or whatever. Tell them it's Juan or Jose. I guess that's probably more believable there. And pull a ballot, vote for Pratt. And again, I'm not encouraging anybody to do any illegal activity. I just think it would be hilarious if that's what happened.
Especially if you document it. But then again, you're documenting yourself committing a crime, and you know that California would come after you for that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Any words of wisdom you want to leave the audience with here before we wrap up, Paul?
Shows at 3:00 Central Time, 4:00 Eastern coming up. And I don't really have a topic in mind yet. Obviously, we're going to continue to cover the fallout of what's going on with these primaries, Massey versus Gowron. But I've been focused on this show, Mike. I haven't actually gotten a chance to dig into the headlines as much as you have. So that's what I'm going to do when I get off here.
Well, that's the one good news. There's always a new fresh hell that awaits us every single day. There's always something to talk about. Well, Paul, again, thanks for joining me today. To our audience, thank you for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. And I'll be back tomorrow.